So you're thinking about moving to Tennessee? Well, today we're going to discuss the pros and the cons of moving to Tennessee. I'm going to explore areas with you that are very sought after for those families that are really into educating their children with the best education possible. I'm going to also introduce those areas about workers that commute from the Middle Tennessee to surrounding metropolitan areas, and also the most affordable places to live and some of the rural areas that are very sought after if you're thinking about having livestock or chickens or building an outside barn, all of those fun things that we like to do here in Tennessee. I personally live here in Tennessee and I love it. I love the weather. I love that we get to experience all four seasons here. The winters aren't brutal, the summers aren't brutal. You just get a taste of all four seasons and it's just fantastic. We have mountains, we have so many outdoor events you can do. There's nothing I don't like about the seasons of Tennessee, except for I wish that we did get a little bit more snow because the snow is super fun. But other than that, I love it. So let's dive in and talk about those surrounding areas that you may want to consider when moving to Tennessee. Let's go. So with the median price of $275 to $375 in the housing market, we do have a lot of families that seek to live in Tennessee because you get so much more house for your money and you get a yard. I will never forget when I had a couple a few years back move here from New York, and she was a teacher and he was working for a large corporation in New York, which could be transit, right? So I showed them a few houses and they found this one house and it has probably 0.25 acres, if that, for the backyard, and they have two small children. So a couple with two small children and one weekend drive here from New York to Tennessee to look at houses. They fall in love. The yard is just a normal yard that we have here in Tennessee, and they were almost in tears because of how much yard and privacy and trees and quiet it was for the same price house that you would probably pay for less than 900 square feet in New York. They got almost a 3,000 square foot home for less than $400,000. They were so excited. So it's things like that that just really make Tennessee such a very desirable place to live for those families that want to have that environment for their children to learn, to grow, and to play. So I'm going to show you some of those areas as well. So with that said, yes, our housing prices are fantastic. Are they increasing? Absolutely. Why? Because of the demand. However, we still have a lot of houses that are in that medium price range that are so beautiful, and I will show you some of those neighborhoods, and they are precious. So that's the first reason. That's the first pro right there for Tennessee living, is that housing. Oh my goodness, you get so much more. Now, let's talk about the taxes. Property taxes are fantastic. The second pro I want to talk about is our low property taxes. That's right. Our property taxes are one of the lowest in the nation. About 0.71% is your property tax. So let's say a house that's $350,000, you're going to pay an average around $2,400 a year. $2,400 a year. Let me just tell you another story. I had another couple here move from Chicago, and they were looking at a home, and their home was about maybe $450,000, $500,000. And when I told them their property taxes were less than $3,000 a year, they literally almost started crying. I'm not exaggerating. They almost started crying because in Chicago, apparently, the taxes are super, super high. I want to say around $20,000 a year in property taxes in Chicago. That's crazy. So of course they went ahead and bought the house and moved here because, again, they were working from their home and they could move instantly, and they were thrilled of how much money they're saving a year just from the property tax savings. So it's a great place to live for low property taxes. Another pro about taxes here in Tennessee is there's no taxes on Social Security benefits. That's right, no taxes on Social Security benefits. No taxes on your income. You get to keep that money and put it in your pocket. Now, you're still going to pay federal income tax, but you're not going to pay state income tax. Isn't that fantastic? And no taxes on Social Security. So that, again, is a huge benefit for those people who are on retirement, or if they're getting a Social Security benefits for some other reason. So again, no Social Security tax and no income tax. Hot dog! And that is really a big reason to move to Tennessee. That's going to put a lot more money in your pocket. Another pro is that we have such beautiful scenery around here. I love driving to these rural areas and showing houses because the mountains are so majestic and so beautiful, and it's such a peaceful drive. Put you on a podcast, go show a house, and it's just therapy right there in your car. Or going to show a house and say it's 45 minutes away, an hour away, because it's like in the mountains or a rural area. I love it. I will put on a podcast, whether it's educational or inspirational, and my car becomes my classroom. And the scenery just goes right along with it. It is so beautiful here in Tennessee. We have the best scenery. We have a lot of outdoor activities as well, as you can imagine. If you love horses, if you love canoeing, if you love biking, if you love hiking, if you love any of those things outdoor, we have it all. And it's always a beautiful time of the year to go. Now, with that said, you're also going to have bugs. So make sure you bring your bug spray, but it's worth it because it's absolutely beautiful here in Tennessee. Now let's talk about one of the cons of living in Tennessee. If you're going to live in one of these really sought after cities like Franklin or Nashville, you're going to pay a hefty price for that. They are beautiful homes, and I will say this, although the prices might be more from like 500, I want to say up into $1 million, you're going to get so much more property. So even though your prices might go up, your lot size is going to be that much larger. And so I love that part about it, that the lot size matches the price tag. So if you're going to want that larger lot because you want to have some livestock or you just want your space, be prepared to move to Franklin or Brentwood or Nashville in the outskirts of that city. It is just gorgeous. You will love Brentwood, Franklin, Nashville. All those have those really beautiful, majestic homes, and the lots are so much larger. But there are going to be a hefty price tag to move in that area for that convenience and for that added value to that home. Another con is that you might experience some severe weather. Now, I've lived here for 17 years. I've never seen a tornado, and I live right in the city in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. But if you live in those rural areas, you might experience one or two of those tornadoes that come through, but I've never experienced one of those. They are very rare and few. There's no flooding. There's no hurricanes, there's no earthquakes, there's none of those things. So you might experience a little bit of heavy rainfall, and that's about it. Another con to do with the weather is also your flood insurance. If you live in a flood zone, which I'm gonna say flood zone, because they have flood zones that haven't flooded in 50 years. No joke, 50 years, and FEMA still has it on the tax records as a flood zone. And it's ridiculous. However, if you live in one of those flood zones, you will have to add some flood insurance, and that can be an additional $600 a year added to your home insurance, which isn't a big deal. And you'll probably never use it. I pray you never use it, but if you have any chance at all, flood zone, just be aware of that as well. Another con of living in Tennessee is that we do have high humidity. So high humidity is a good and a bad thing. The good thing is that it's really good for your skin. The bad thing is it makes your hair very frizzy. I will say that's a big con, especially when I'm showing houses. I will get big frizzy hair, so I will have to wear a hat. So the humidity, sometimes you can cut it with a knife. It is thick humidity. But again, good for your skin, bad for the hair, makes it really frizzy. So be aware of that. And we do have bugs, like mosquitoes the size of Texas, in my opinion, and they love me. I would say mosquitoes is probably the number one thing here. Cicadas come around every 7 years, but that's about it, and they go away and they die really quickly, but when they're here, it is creepy. But yeah, so cicadas every 7 years, but that's about it. So just bring some bug spray, especially if you play tennis or golf, or if you play pickleball. Just know that you will need some bug spray outside because, of course, with humidity and hot temperatures, there comes mosquitoes. I would say probably the number one con of living in Tennessee or anywhere in the South is that you're going to deal with a lot of pollen. So pollen is really heavy in Tennessee because we're kind of like a basin, so it collects a lot of pollen. But again, that's everywhere in the South because we do have such lush green outdoor areas and such good soil to plant those perennials in that will come back every year. So you're going to have heavy pollen for those areas. The good thing is, though, just get some local honey, Take you a teaspoon of local honey during the allergy season and you should be fine, because that's going to build up your immune system. So again, very few cons of living in Tennessee that I can think of, and I've lived here for 17 years, and I'm again just so excited to show you our town and show you the city and show you some of those areas that are really sought after by those people that are moving here from other states. I hope you're looking forward to moving to Tennessee. Make sure you do subscribe. Make sure that you reach out to me for a tour. And also, if you have any other questions, make sure to comment below and I will get back with you with all those questions that you may have. I'm looking forward to working with you and your family about moving to Tennessee.